Welcome back to the show. It's the second hour of the Daily Brief right here at K24 TV. A sign language interpreter for the next 1 hour will be Walter Sawe. Now we need to take you straight to the Holy Family Basilica, where we've seen arrival of dignitaries into this particular venue, where the President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta is expected to be leading the nation in commemorating the 41st anniversary of the death of the founding president of the Republic of Kenya, that is Mzee Kenyatta. And earlier on, we saw some governors, MPs, as well as other dignitaries make way to the Holy Family Basilica, meaning this event is to kick off any time from now. And as we were interacting with our reporter Daniel Kariuki during the first hour of the show, he did intimate that we should be expecting messages to do with national cohesion and unity in the country. And we saw the arrival of, among others, the governor of Kiambu, that is Ferdinand Waitito. We also saw even some members from the Presidential Strategic Communications Unit, among other MPs who have arrived at this venue. But also notable in as far as the arrivals are concerned this far is the arrival of former First Lady, that is Mama Ngina Kenyatta, who has already made way to the Holy Family Basilica. So all that and much more is currently happening at the Holy Family Basilica this day. What kind of conversations will come forth from this venue, even as the nation remembers the founding president? If we were to take stock of the initial dream of the country to eradicate disease, illiteracy, and poverty, how far have we come in as far as that is concerned? It is a venue where we saw the president, that is Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, and the ODM leader Raila Amolo Odinga share a light moment. And it will be interesting to see what pans out today. It is one of those events that clearly does inform a lot when it comes to the leadership and political discourse of the nation this far. So we shall be keeping tabs with this particular event right here at K24 TV. Also happening today from the steps of Harambee House will be a press briefing given by the Cabinet Secretary Interior, that is Dr. Fred Matiang'i. He is expected to be giving a brief on the preparedness of the government to conduct the upcoming 2019 population and housing census, the hashtag being Count Me In. And already the government has pronounced itself when it comes to quite a number of issues. Key among them, bars and recreational facilities will remain closed as from 5 p.m. on Saturday to enable this exercise kickoff in earnest. He also did indicate that you should be home by 6 p.m. so that you are in a position to be counted in. And some of the areas that the government will be focusing on this time around has got to be population characteristics, education, ICT, labor, livestock, agriculture, housing conditions, and housing amenities. It is an exercise that will be conducted beginning tomorrow. I mean, not tomorrow, but the 24th of August all the way to the 31st. So you've got ample time to be counted. It will also be factoring in the households. It will also factor in immigrants. It will also factor in the homeless, as well as those that will be on transit on that particular day, courtesy of having the presence of enumerators across bus terminals in the nation. After 6 months, we expect the results of that particular exercise to be released, and from hence, we expect a vibrant conversation around national planning, distribution of resources, and most importantly, politically speaking, the tyranny of numbers. Will it be shifted courtesy of the 2019 census? And that is part and parcel of the political, logic behind the upcoming exercise, and you can still engage with us using the hashtag The Daily Brief at K24 TV and at Sam W. Njoroge. You can also find us on our SMS platform, that is 21222, and we'll be in a position to appreciate your feedback in the course of this show. Back to our discussion right here in studio. We need to focus just a little bit on the office of the DPP and these arrests that have been ordered of Keroche bosses of 14 billion Kenya shillings tax evasion. And Jim, thank you so much for being with us this far.
Thank you.
When you observe this case, the information that we've been given so far about this tax evasion row, what do you make of it?
Tax evasion, and KRA came out clear and said some of the people who've been aiding tax evasion are its own officials, and it said it had cleaned house. We're not sure how that has happened, but I said they've cleaned house. The deficit in our revenue collection is serious. We constantly are falling short. For the last 5 years, we've constantly been falling short of our revenue collection. Now, bridging that deficit has been, we have a lot of people who are not paying taxes, just a whole lot of people, especially companies, big multinationals and big companies that have decided to evade tax and have found loopholes within our tax structures and are evading tax. What I see out of this is that KRA has decided, and it has come out clear and said, we want to collect more money. We have a big budget. There's a budget deficit that we have to plow into. And so seeing all these big names and big money being floated around, it's interesting. Mm-hmm. The big question is, are we going to recover our money? That is the big question. Whether they are arrested or not, it's, are we going to recover our money? And a lot of alternatives have been given. For instance, let us have alternative dispute resolution mechanisms. Instead of arresting these individuals, could we have conversations with them as to, can they pay this money? Can they pay even half of this money as part of it? Then we seal the loophole so that that does not occur again. Mm-hmm. Because otherwise, we will end up arresting them. It will be a long court process that could take years, given that we know how our court process takes. If it takes years, at what point are we going to earn our money? Mm-hmm. In fact, the more they're in court, the more we as taxpayers are spending money to have them in court. Because for a judge to sit in court, it's taxpayers paying that money. So the quickest way to deal with this would be, could we have an alternative dispute resolution with them?
Mm-hmm. Kapsaret Member of Parliament Oscar Sudi had this to say about the arrests so far, or the ordering of the arrests this far, that KRA officials are to blame for the tax evasion cases totaling up to 41 billion for Humphrey Kariuki and 41 billion for Tabitha Karanja. First, the figures look imaginary, malicious, and unrealistic. There is no objectivity in the crackdown. This is just trade wars, and someone wants to enjoy business monopoly in the country. He goes ahead and says, we are not fools, and he actually makes reference to the fact that Humphrey Kariuki runs Africa Spirits and Tabitha Karanja runs Keroche. Is there more than meets the eye in this particular exercise, Jim?
Of course, we will leave politics to politicians like Oscar Sudi, and we can only deal with the facts that are before us. Mm-hmm. We know that alcohol and cigarettes are the largest, some of the largest revenue earners in this country. In terms of paying tax, those guys pay a lot of tax because Kenyans, we're a drinking nation, and so there's a lot of money around it. So given that these are the people that it's going for, then it means that KRA is actually serious about the money tax evasion business. If they were going for the small fish and small businesses, would have been more concerned. But they are going for the big players in the market. That means they are serious about ensuring that we collect every single penny that we've been losing as a result of tax evasion. So I will not read politics out of it, as good politicians would love to do, and use it for fodder. For me, I would say KRA wants to collect money. We as taxpayers and as Kenyans in general, we need that money collected, so that then it could go ahead towards funding us. It will reduce our borrowing as a result of that, because we have money we have a big budget that we can then fund as a result of it. So,
and the president is right there on the split of your screen, now a full screen, where he has arrived at Holy Family Basilica. That means the event that is commemoration of the death of the founding president, that is Mzee Kenyatta, now begins in earnest, courtesy of the arrival of the first family, also flanked by various leaders, key among them the Speaker of the Senate. I've seen him in that entourage, that is Ken Lusaka. We've also seen members of the larger Kenyatta family make way to the Holy Family Basilica, meaning that this event now begins in earnest, and it will only be right for us to cross over there and listen in to the activity at Holy Family Basilica as of now. Right, and there you have it. That event has already begun. The sights and the sounds can clearly tell you that this event now begins in earnest. But before we cross over to Holy Family Basilica, let's bring in our reporter, Brenda Cheruiyot, who joins us live from the steps of Harambee House, where Cabinet Secretary Interior Dr. Fred Matiang'i will this morning be addressing the nation on the state of preparedness of government in the upcoming 2019 population and housing census. Brenda, thank you so much for joining us this hour. Kindly bring us up to speed with what we can expect from that end this day.
Well, Sam, we are coming live to you from Harambee House, where Interior Cabinet Secretary Dr. Fred Matiang'i is expected to issue a statement any time from now, just to give us a state of how prepared they are as government to conduct the nationwide census for 2019. Well, if we revisit some of the statements he made at a function in Embu Stadium, well, he said that all bars should be closed as from 5 p.m. on Saturday, so that everyone should be at home to be counted by the enumerators who are going to be visiting various homes across the country to get the numbers. Well, from the soccer fans will be having a hard time, as they would not be able to join the rest in bars and celebrate watching the big matches of Liverpool and Arsenal. And not forgetting, he also pointed that all security will be deployed in various towns to ensure that the process runs smoothly, and all security personnel who've been on leave have been recalled back to their offices. And from this census that is going to be conducted as from Saturday, and we are expecting that the enumerators who've been selected come from the regions, their residents in those areas, and they'll be accompanied by the village elders. And of course, not forgetting, there will be security to ensure that the process runs smoothly. Sam.
Thank you so much, Brenda. And maybe before I let you go, there has been concern even when it comes to identifying the enumerators. Could we be expecting the Cabinet Secretary to touch on this issue?
Well, we are expecting maybe he might touch on that to ensure that people get the right people, the enumerators, and not thugs who disguise themselves as enumerators in this process. Sam.
Right. Thank you so much, Brenda Cheruiyot, for that update live from Harambee House, where we expect that press briefing to be coming forth any time from now. It's all about the upcoming 2019 population and housing census, and what areas of focus will the government be addressing the nation on this morning. We shall cross over to this particular venue as and when this press briefing begins. But for now, let's continue with our conversation right here in studio. And earlier on, we were just looking into the arrests that have been ordered now for the directors of Keroche breweries of tax evasion amounting to 14 billion Kenya shillings. We still have detectives camping outside the home of Tabitha Karanja right here in Runda, as well as the premises of Keroche Industries in Naivasha. And in the course of the show and during our subsequent bulletins, we shall be in a position to let you know how this story is progressing. But for the better part of this year, Jim, we've seen a lot of allegations cast upon KRA. Yeah. Internal structures appear not to be functioning. Should the course of action then be start with forming up what needs to be formed up internally, then we begin looking into all these other issues?
Of course, that has been the real threat that we've had, that we have a collector who has been collecting on behalf of the people and also for themselves in the process. And those internal structures where things are going on and not. Again, just mismanagement and just bad manners going on in public institutions. So the idea has been restructuring of KRA, bringing in individuals who will then drive it towards a direction that is, and overhauling that whole system, because it's a system that has been in place for a long time. We constantly say that when you want to restructure a system, you cannot just restructure at the top, because that is not the system. You have to restructure all the way down to the bottom to ensure that the whole chain of command is in one voice, and they are all for the process of ensuring that we are collecting enough money and sealing all loopholes. We're not allowing, we're not allowing tax evasion. We're not allowing misreporting of how much we have collected and less of that. So less of political heads and more of administrators and managers who know what they want to do and what they want to achieve for the country.
Was there at one point a time in this nation where Tabitha Karanja was appreciated for being either one of the highest tax-paying companies in the country?
Yes.
So how did that happen, if at all? This probe that covers the period of 2015-2019 indicates, as per the DPP, that there has been some tax evasion.
It does not take away what we appreciated her for, because at the end of the day, we were saying Keroche breweries had actually been paying taxes. They were the top taxpayers in the country at that point. Between 2015 and 2019, we do not know what happened in that process. We do not know what changed. We do not know what changed. We do not know what went into the books. We cannot speculate. That cannot be our job. Cannot be to speculate. All that we can say is, if KRA and if DPP has a serious case of tax evasion, then let them go after Keroche breweries and the managers of that particular farm. And if we can recover that money, well and good. All that we want is money. All that we want is the money to be recovered. And all we want is the message to be sent to all the top companies in this country when you work on a tabia kama hiyo, so that they can stop. The whole thing has been, let this be a warning to Keroche breweries and people with such kind of characters of evading tax. So if that happens, then it means we might see KRA collecting slightly more than they did in the last financial year.
Okay. A lot we need to discuss right here on the show. And as far as this case is concerned, there are also those that pose the question, is it right to prosecute some of these cases in the court of public opinion? What's the idea behind that? We shall be looking into that in just a short while. But for now, we need to take you to the Holy Family Basilica and listen in to the memorial service of the commemoration of the death of the founding president, Mzee Kenyatta.
Every tear from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, or mourning, crying, or pain, for the former things are passed away. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. The grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, and the love of God, and the communion of the Holy Spirit be with you all. My dear brothers and sisters in Christ, God in his love has gathered us here as one family. We are one family, the family of God. And we are one family that even death does not tear apart. And therefore, as we gather today, we celebrate the life of the founding father of this nation, Mzee Kenyatta. We gather as a people of faith so that we may pray that where he is, he may be in the everlasting joy. We gather that in each one of us, our hearts may be excited to have the courage that he had in fighting for this country.
With us is the cabinet committee that deals with matters of census. As you are aware, the census is carried out by the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics that is domiciled at the National Treasury, and therefore we have the Cabinet Secretary who is responsible for census, Cabinet Secretary Attorney. In the Secretariat, the co-chair is usually Ministry of Interior, and therefore we have the Cabinet Secretary for Interior, Cabinet Secretary Matiang'i. As we are aware, this census is 100% digital, and therefore in the Interministerial Committee we have the Minister for ICT, and we have the other supporting ministries. We have devolution, we have public service, we have defense, all of them in the Interministerial Committee that has been taking part in preparation for this year's census. So today's press briefing is basically to inform the country about our preparedness, and each of the ministers will speak to the specific role that they have been pushing in this interministerial preparation. And at this juncture, I would want to invite the owner of the project who coordinates everybody else, the CS for National Treasury, CSC Attorney, to give a brief, and then invite his colleagues to also give their segments of the brief. CSC Attorney.
Members of the press, as I welcome you to this press briefing, I wish to inform the public that the Government of Kenya, through the National Bureau of Statistics, has completed all preparatory activities for the 2019 Kenya Population and Housing Census, due to commence the night of 24th and continue up to 31st August this year. This is a culmination of a careful, systematic planning that started way back in 2016, which started from cartographic mapping that established 129,123 enumeration areas, and later conducted a pilot census exercise in August last year. This indeed tested adequacy of logistics, personnel, accuracy of the maps, as well as admissibility of the questionnaires and other data capture applications. I also wish to confirm that it's all systems go, as all necessary personnel for the exercise have been recruited, trained, and deployed to their enumeration areas. The training of field census personnel started with the training of trainers on 15 July 2019 and ended with the last group, the enumerators, on 20th August 2019. It is imperative to note that a total of 129,123 enumerators have been deployed to cover conventional households, while additional 9,000 enumerators have been trained and deployed to cover special populations like in the restricted areas, prisons, police cells, travelers and hospitals, and will further be used as reserves in case of any of the enumerators drop out. The enumerators are further supported by the village and the community elders in conduct of the exercise to ensure smooth entry and wholesome delivery of the same. In addition, all materials to be used during the enumeration exercise have been distributed to various county headquarters for onward distribution to the census personnel. The mobile devices and accessories have also been delivered to all the counties and will be distributed to all census personnel. Other materials are expected to be distributed to the census personnel before the end of the day today. On publicity and advocacy, I wish to inform that sensitization of the various groups and the general public on the census have been going on progressively. An elaborate plan on the targeted groups and the key messages have been developed and various user groups briefed accordingly. This briefing will continue throughout the census period. And we have set up a center, a communication center, that will be sending out messages on an hourly basis to confirm the exercise is ongoing as planned, and should there be any challenges, this will be brought to the attention of the people in charge for immediate mitigation. It is envisaged that preliminary results will be released 3 months after the end of the exercise, while the basic reports of the census are expected to be released within 6 months. The final detailed analytical disaggregated reports will be released within 1 year after the census enumeration. At this stage, I also want to state, in the interest of transparency and openness, I wish to state that of the total budgeted figure of 18.5 billion for the exercise, it's important to clarify that this amount is spread over 5 years, from the financial year 2016 to the financial year 2020. The detailed breakdown of costs as per budgeted activities in cash shillings as follows. At the design, development, and planning of the census process, about 255 million was used. In carrying out the cartographic mapping exercise, which was done 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, over 3 billion was used. In the area of publicity and advocacy, about 500 million was used. In the conduct of the pilot census, about 118 million was used, while the main enumeration area that will be taking place will cost us about 10 billion. ICT equipment and softwares will consume also another 3 billion. During the analysis and dissemination, we'll also need about 200 million for the exercise. It's important to know that the biggest proportion of the budget goes towards emolument of the census personnel, who include mapping assistants, enumerators, supervisors, and also payment of allowances for local administrators and village elders, as well as purchasing of the mobile devices. It is gratifying to note that the utilization of this budget resulted in direct and indirect benefits to the economy. The first was the transfer of technology to assembly of devices by 2 local universities, because the devices that are going to be used for this exercise are actually manufactured here in Kenya by 2 of our universities. So you can imagine the level of technology transfers, and that these devices will later on be used for other exercise that's going to happen in the country. Additionally, it's going to create over 200,000 jobs. The government wishes to assure all Kenyans that the information provided will be treated with utmost confidentiality in conformity with the UN fundamental principles of official statistics and as stipulated in the Statistics Act 2006. All residents are encouraged during the exercise to cooperate with the teams that will visit them for the census enumeration, and thus every person should provide accurate information during the period. I also wish to state that all the available resources have been already sent to the various counties for payment of the individuals, the personnel involved, and for any attendant cost. So nobody should complain because money has been transferred. And for at the end of the exercise, the individual enumerators and other census personnel will be paid directly through their bank accounts that have already been provided to our systems on their own accord. About the village elders and local administrators, payments will be done through the census, county census committee, and money have already been transferred to this effect. At this stage, I now want to appeal to all Kenyans to consider this as a patriotic duty and cooperate with the people involved in the exercise, in the enumeration, so that we realize maximum result. We are therefore saying to all Kenyans, jitokeze uhesabike. Asante sana. At this stage, I want to invite my colleague, the Cabinet Secretary for ICT and Information, Honorable Musheru, to come and take us through the bit in as far as utilization of ICT is concerned, in as far as how we are going to utilize and manage the information flow from the various areas to the headquarters, to our command center. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you, Waziri. Good morning again to you, media. I wish to make a statement on the data management and the communication process during this population and housing census enumeration exercise. I would like to first assure Kenyans that your data and information is safe and secure. We have ensured that we have several security measures that we have put in place to ensure that all the information that we collect is not only stored in a secure place, but we have full redundancy. The equipment that is being used, which are 7-inch tablets, these devices, as you've heard, were assembled locally, and they have our software, which we have developed within the country. And therefore, we are able to ensure that all the data, as it is transmitted, as it is processed, is actually done within our control. And we assure you that we have the full capacity to ensure full security. In order to ensure that the transmission of data is only coming from those devices, we have created a special network. And that network will only be used to send the data to all the data centers. You will not have other devices out there being able to transmit into our servers. So we're very sure that also the quality of the data coming is only coming from our own sources. The mobile devices are protected, as I've mentioned, and you cannot, the enumerators cannot change the software that is already there, and therefore we are fairly certain that the data we get will be the correct data, and that we will be monitoring on a continuous basis everything that is being transmitted, the quality, and ensuring that it is in good order. I also wish to, at this point, mention that we have sufficient data storage to ensure that all the data for all the citizens that is coming through will actually be stored in our multiple data centers. The requirement at the moment is for about 3 terabytes of data, but we have capacity now for over 40 terabytes. So we have more than enough capacity that is required. We have 3 data sites that we've put in place where we have our data primary site and 2 redundancy sites. And these are replicated throughout, so that even if one site is down, the others will continue to maintain the data. As regards the communication, that has been streamlined. This is the last briefing that we'll do as cabinet. Going forward, we will have media briefings that will be done by the government spokesman and the Director General of the KNBS. They will be doing this on a daily basis at 10 a.m. from the Media Briefing Center at Teleposta Towers. We do not expect anybody else to communicate on the census other than the 2 I have mentioned. For technical information, the county commissioners in the different counties will be able to provide information so that, for instance, if you want to know where the enumerators are, If you have any technical issues, they can provide. But on the progress of the census, that will be done, as I said, by the government spokesman and the Director General of the KNBS. We have set up a hotline number, which we have tested and is fully functional, and that is 0800 221 020, where anyone can call to get any information that you want regarding the census process, and we will be able to ensure that you're fully updated. The census process is distinctly different from the Huduma number process. If you recall, the Huduma number process was registering citizens with their biometric information so that we can have identification information on our citizens, a single source of truth. That exercise took place, and we ensured that we have now data of our citizens. The census data is very different, because what we're doing is that we're not only getting the identification of citizens, but we're now enumerating a lot more information that we will use for our planning for the next 10 years as a country. We will be able to find out information, for instance, how many farmers we have, how many teachers we have, all the information that we need about the economy, about the development of the country, so that we are able to plan. The way we conducted the Huduma number registration, we had only about 31,500 devices that we were using across the country. It was registering people, and we took a period of 3 months to do the registration. The census exercise happens on the reference day, which is the 24th, 25th, this is Saturday night, and goes on only for 7 days. We have over 164,000 enumerators that are out there. And therefore, the two exercises are fairly different. The information that we get is very important for us in terms of our planning and ensuring that as a country we're going to develop even better. We will have questions later, but for now let me invite my colleague, CS Fred Matiang'i, to now address the security features.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think our role is to provide support to our colleagues at the Ministry of Planning and the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics to conduct the census exercise. Therefore, I start first of all by confirming to you we are ready. We will deploy effectively. We've already moved all the security resources to wherever we feel they are needed most. And you saw early in the week, our Principal Secretary in charge of Interior issued a circular to ensure that all security personnel are on duty for the entire census period. So none of us in the security sector is going to be on leave. We're all on duty until this exercise is conducted and completed. Secondly, to ensure that we identify and know who is involved in this exercise, our county commissioners across all the 47 counties are issuing accreditation documents to observers or monitors of the census exercise. So if you are interested in observing or monitoring the census exercise, you have until 6 o'clock tomorrow, 6 p.m., to go to the county commissioner of the county you want to observe the exercise to obtain accreditation. The county commissioner will require you to fill out some forms and give him or her some information, after which the county commissioner will give you an identification document that you will carry around with you if you are not employed. So there are only 3 types of people we will have out on Saturday evening and on Sunday evening and for the rest of the 7 days. They will either be census officials employed through the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, either enumerators, content supervisors, and so on. Or 2, security personnel, our police officers, our assistant chiefs and chiefs, county commissioners, SECs, and all that. Or 3, monitors who must carry identification document given by the county commissioner as official monitors or observers of the exercise. Any other person is therefore not supposed to be involved in that exercise. And if they come around, our security personnel are well aware of what they would do with that person. We have requested our fellow Kenyans, and I want to say this with utmost humility. We are sorry for the inconvenience that is going to be caused to you, because we ask that social places be closed at 5. But look, my friends, we are in this interesting situation. We have to do this census, and it's once in 10 years. Once in 10 years. So we are asking you, because under the law, social places like bars are open at 2 on Saturday. At a personal level, I'm not supposed to tell you this, but at an official level, let me say this, because I will not encourage you to drink. But anyway, at a personal level, I'm saying you can go have your drink between 2 and 5 o'clock. And more experienced people tell me that if you are not satisfied with beer for 3 whole hours, then there's a problem with you. So by 5, then, proceed home so that you can be counted. And you can also watch Liverpool and Arsenal play at home with your family. Maybe they will have a chance they rarely have of watching a football match with you. And then we'll do the same on Sunday. And then the rest of the week we'll carry on with our normal activities. And then, as I said, I know and we understand some members of our society, and we absolutely respect their feelings. Feel that, they would like to be out longer. It's understandable, and as public servants, we want to say we understand that. But we want to persuade you also to understand that we do this once every 10 years, and we have this situation which we really have to go through. So you'll be happy to enjoy your company and social drink and everything else until 5 on Saturday and on Sunday. Just this once in 10 years, so that we can conduct this exercise. And again, as a responsible public servant, let me say, I'm sorry for the inconvenience caused, but now we have to carry out the census. So please, do understand that we have to do this. Some people are asking me through social media, can we revise the decision? No, we will not revise it. We are going to carry out census between 6 p.m. on Saturday 24th and 6 a.m. on Sunday morning. And again, the exercise will resume, especially in households that will not have been visited, again 6 p.m. on Sunday to 6 a.m. again on Monday morning. That is what I have been asked and advised by my colleagues in the Ministry of Planning and the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics. And for us in the security sector, our responsibility is to facilitate this exercise, and we are absolutely ready to participate to facilitate the exercise. So sorry for the inconvenience, but please bear in mind that it's only this once in 10 years. And in the life of a nation, is that one time when we all must take a little inconvenience here and there to facilitate an important exercise such as we are doing. We are not being insensitive, but we are also not going to revise the hours. We have worked on this for 3 years, making this plan, and let's not cause confusion. Let's go ahead. And for you, my good friends from the media, I need to emphasize this. No one, under the law, we can't, we cannot ban drinking, like the way some of you are reporting, that we have banned bars and, so on. You would think the world is coming to an end this weekend. No. We've just asked you to enjoy yourself until around 5. And 5 p.m., honorably, just go home and then be counted with your family. Then you can resume your business the following day again until around 5. Then you have all the time of your life to continue now enjoying, watch all the matches you want to watch, and drink all the things you want to drink as you go along. But we would have actually conducted the census those 2 days. So we are sorry for the inconvenience, but this is something that we have to do. Lastly, I need to say this. You've had His Excellency the President say this more than once recently. I want to ask our leaders across the country, especially political leaders. This is a straightforward census exercise, and let us allow it to be that. There are attempts, there are parts of the country where we have received a few reports. You know, people are trying to do some funny games, asking people to move this way or that way. This is a modern country. And Kenyans are modern people who want to live according to the law. Let us now do this exercise with the decency that it requires. You know, some of these primitive habits that some of our political leaders have lived with for a long time, moving people around, hassling others and talking about this clan must be here and there. Let's stop these things. They are affecting the way in which our people live. Because I am aware as I speak to you this morning that we are following up certain of those kinds of activities in certain parts of the country. But I want to tell you, we are ready because we are monitoring those things. We are watching you as you are trying to do those things, and we are aware of the meetings you had last night. And at an appropriate time, we will ensure that you meet with the law so that you are helped to live as a decent person and as a decent leader. But let us not disturb our people by trying to move people around in that kind of manner. But otherwise, ladies and gentlemen, we wish all of us the best because this involves all of us. And I want to, on behalf of all these good people, take this opportunity to thank you for coming and thank our colleagues for the great work that has been done and hope that we will complete this successfully in the next few days. Thank you very much, and I think we can take a few questions. Wangoi?
Yes, Asante. My name is Mel from MTV, and my question is specifically about those people who are not in the country. There's been a lot of pastoralist communities that have been known to move around to neighboring countries. So what's the position for that? What's the measure for that?
The law doesn't allow us to count the people out of the country.
People who are really wondering, there's many people who are talking about security issues and wondering how do you tell that these people are actually from the census in terms of security personnel? Is there a way they'll be looking? Is there some budget they'll be having? People need to know that.
I'll respond to the security question, and then my colleague will respond to the census question. First of all, I need to emphasize this. One, when we start the exercise on Saturday at 6 p.m., we go on to 6 a.m. on Sunday, and we will continue, all day until, this exercise is completed. The visits to the households, the night visits, particularly enumeration that will be done in households at night, is what will happen again at night on Sunday night in areas we will not have completed. Thereafter, it will be, a regular day exercise as we go along. So even on Sunday during the day, enumeration will be continuing. Secondly, the activities of Saturday night and Sunday night do not just affect those of us who go to social places. Social places are many. I know, and I'm saying this with tremendous respect and humility. I know some of our fellow Christians who are in Keshas and, please, on this particular day, let us, shift the prayers to our houses so that we can be counted, as it were. Our colleague, the Cabinet Secretary for Education, yesterday and the day before, has been issuing instructions about the closure of schools. This affects all schools, public and private. And I'm saying this for purposes of emphasis so that, we do not have any confusion. And I think the Ministry of Education has done the right communication. Now to your question, my dear. The question of security, enumerators will be accompanied by security personnel. But first of all, the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics has done something very nice. No one has been hired to enumerate people outside of their sublocations, which means everyone who will be involved in this exercise are people who come from your area. In rural communities in Kenya, the chances are that those are people that almost everyone knows, because a sublocation is not a huge area. In the estates, chances are that there are people from the next block from where you stay. So there are people you would very easily know. And then chances are that over 80% of the people who are involved are people who are known in the localities where they are going to work. But because of that, of the fears of security, that's why elders are involved, because these are people who would be known in the local sublocations. In the urban communities, it will be officials of the estate associations, people who are known in that particular area where they are conducting the enumeration. Thirdly, they will be accompanied by security officials who will be in full uniform and can identify themselves. You know, all police officers have got identification documents. They can identify themselves. So if they are not accompanied by village elders, they will be accompanied by the assistant chief or the chief who will be in uniform, and they can identify themselves. And many Kenyans, I think, know their assistant chief and their chief. In the event that that enumeration group is not with the chief or the assistant chief, they will be with police officers who can identify themselves, or officials from Kenya prisons, or NYS who can identify themselves as they move around with the teams, as it were. It is your right as a citizen to demand that those people identify themselves. That Kenyans need to know. It is your right to demand that those people identify themselves before you give them information. And all of them will be having identification document, so our people have nothing to worry about. So that has taken care of that aspect of security.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think regarding your question, what happens to people who are out of the country, foremost, you need to understand that census is a process, but not an event. And for that, since 2016, there's been a lot of planning going on in terms of mapping locations of households that enable us to come up with the enumeration areas. And census are usually done, the count is done within the confines of a national boundary. Unfortunately, those people who are out of the country at that time will not be physically counted. But information regarding family members who are here, they will be asked whether they are members of the family who have migrated to other countries or gone to other regions outside the boundaries of Kenya. So that we only count people who are within the country. But regarding pastoralists, I know this is a very difficult time for them, given that the prevailing drought has made quite a number of them move to the neighboring countries. We are now appealing to them to take this matter very seriously, because it's a matter that comes once in 10 years. If they can now move back and take advantage of the 1 week window. They don't have to be there on that night, but they can, as long as, if they are there, because 24 is the reference night. And since you know earlier data for planning has been captured, it's important for them to take advantage and move back to the country on the night of 24th so that they are fully included.
My name is K24 TV, and the question is, the advertisement by the Kenya Bureau of Statistics is that the exercise Saturday and Sunday night will run from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. But there seems to be another message going around talking about 6 to 6, which is each. And then also the inconvenience. A section of businessmen have said they would move to court challenging the directive, saying it wasn't gazetted. So I wanted to know, is it a decree, is it an order? Does it have a button in place?
Well, my colleague will talk about the 6 to 6 issue and the advertisement, but I know, people would like to, you more than even anyone else in this country as media practitioners, now know that our country is very interesting. You can hardly do anything without all these threats, going to court and so on and so forth. Frankly speaking, we've conducted census so many times in this country in the past. And we always do it this way. I don't understand why it would be a problem now. We do this. This is what we did during the previous census. We are asking you to accommodate this exercise. So, you know, whether it's a degree or an order, we're just splitting hairs over nothing, in my view. I mean, it's a straightforward issue. Because how else would you like to do it? And then I want to ask fellow Kenyans, surely this happens once in 10 years. Why do we really want to spend all our time on, you know, negative things? You know, everything that is done is interpreted this way, looked upside down, and so on. It's a straightforward exercise. We do this once in 10 years, and every time we have carried out census in the past, we always do it this way. We are now asking us to facilitate our colleagues to make it easier for the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics to count us. And then we are advising that it will be good for us to spare just those 2 evenings. Surely, even in terms of business, yes, I don't want to be insensitive. You may incur a slight loss. But surely, isn't that a sacrifice worth making for your country?
I think regarding the timing, the exercise will take over 6 to 6. But after that, it will continue, depending on, you know, convenience of also those ones who failed to be counted the first night. So it's a process that's going to continue, and everybody will be given an opportunity. And I think I should now also appeal to Kenyans, wherever they are, to take advantage and make sure that, you know, they are counted. If you miss the first night, you have an opportunity to up to 31st. You know where the enumerators are. They are within the locality. They are not people from elsewhere, but from within locality of the sub-locations. Look for them. Make sure that, you know, they visit your homes so that you provide the necessary data. The information we are looking for is not necessarily about the physical count. There is so much that's going to go into that data for purpose of future planning, including the various forms of disabilities, the economic status, the kind of employment activities you're undertaking. Is so diverse, and it's going to help this country for a number of plannings and resource allocation at a later time when the data will have been fully analyzed.
Right about now, let's take a break. When we return, we recap what has just happened at Harambee House. But for now, let's take that break.